Welcome to another edition of the Backyard Professor podcast series. Coming at you live from the Rocky Mountains here in Idaho on a blustery spring day. I'm Kerry Schertz, the Backyard Professor. When I'm continuing my analysis of Jubilees, Abraham and Egypt with you. We're on the page 90. Oh, happy breed. In my, as sort of a background to this, in my daily reading, I've run across something real interesting about Abraham that I had never quite understood before in reading the account in the King James. And I was reading Luther's Bible, and Abraham is, Sarah has died. We're in chapter 23 in Genesis. And Sarah has died, and so Abraham has returned to the Mesopotamian lands. He's among the children of Heth, the Hittites. And he says something real interesting. He approaches him and he says, "Hey, I'm a foreigner. I'm actually just a wanderer. I'm an alien as far as that goes, but my wife has died, and could I purchase some of your land so that I can bury my dead?" And his astonishing, here he is, this great man. Now, the record lets you know how great he really is. The children of Heth, da Antworteten, they tell Abraham, they say, "Huder uns, lieber Herr, du bist ein Fürst Gottes unter uns." And that really caught my attention. I said, whoa, du bist ein Fürst Gottes. Now, Fürst, of course, is the German word for prince. Gottes is God. He's a prince of God. Now, the English Bible says he is a mighty prince. The impression is not the same. Being a prince of God just doesn't give you the same impression. It's a much grander thing, I think. So what I did was I looked up the Hebrew in my Masoretic text, and it calls him a Nesi Elohim. This is a mighty prince. And they're calling him Adonai. They're saying, no, Lord, among us you are a Nesi Elohim. Well, Elohim is the Hebrew word for God, and that really caught my attention here, because this is powerful. They are in awe. Now here Abraham is. He's saying, well, I'm a wanderer, I'm an alien in the land, I really don't belong here at all, and I'm kind of out of place, but I've got someone dead I need to bury. And they are stunned by his humility. They say, you don't understand. You can have any land you want. You can pick the choicest land you want to bury your dead. The Septuagint rendering of this, they actually call him a Basileus Paratheo. Basileus Paratheo. A Basileus is a king, a noble, a royal person. This is big stuff. A prince of God, perhaps, a king of God. Now you got to realize the story of Abraham coming out of Egypt and surviving his own Holocaust, his beating up of the 5 kings of the plain to rescue his nephew Lot. Now you have to understand something. He defeated all these 5 kings of the plain, and this, of course, is the famous meeting with Melchizedek. And Melchizedek, comes out and refreshes Abraham and welcomes him. And that's a very interesting story in and of himself. Apparently, word got around that Abraham had several of these experiences, and that the actual covenant of God was established with Abraham. The way the Torah, a modern commentary by Plaut, translates this is, they read this Genesis 23:6. "Hear us, my Lord. You are the elect of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places, they say. Hear us, our Lord. You are the elect of God among us. This is among the pagan Hittites in Mesopotamia, as the record says. Sarah had died at Kiriath Arba. That's Hebron, and this is in the land of Canaan, of course. I have the stone edition of the Haftorahs, and this is the Chumash. And they translate it as, you are a prince of God in our midst. So this idea of being a prince of God, a godly person, a nasi. Now, when I looked up the Hebrew, this is in the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament by Botterweck, Ringren, and Fabry. This is volume 10. Under nasi, page 45, they say derives from the Proto-Semitic verb nasa. The idea here is to be uplifted, to elevate, to raise, to exalt. It's understood as one who is exalted or highly raised. And on the next page, they go through a lot of analysis on this. I've just touched on some highlights. On page 46, the Septuagint, in most instances, the Septuagint renders nasi with archon, that is with ruler, with the main leader, and second in order of frequency with aphigesthi. Other translations include Basilius, which is the Greek word for king. And then on the bottom of page 49, and then on top of page 50, Abraham's designation as the Nesi Elohim expresses respectful acknowledgement. The sense is being elevated or exalted by the deity, and this certainly is exactly what happened with Abraham, receiving the covenant, receiving the promise that his descendants would be more numerous than all of the stars of the sea and the sands on the ocean. I mean, this is kind of this big stuff here. On page 53, the title of the Nesi Rosh is attested. The head of princes is attested in Ezekiel. It appears in the Song of the Sabbath Sacrifice in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they notice, and in reference to 7 different figures, and these different figures, their task is the blessing of the righteous. And so the conclusion is that these Nesi'im are the archangels. Now this is the same title that Abraham is called. So this is big stuff. I mean, this is pretty important to recognize the context. I don't think you can get it as easily in the English. One of the reasons I believe that Abraham was so powerful, was so well thought